Over 7,000 Russian citizens picked up passports from a country most of them had never visited through a forgotten Soviet-era treaty and a bit of paperwork. What caused the 1,650% increase? Was it the global blockade on Russian citizenship by investment applicants? In this video, we will show you exactly how this Cold War loophole worked, why Kyrgyzstan ended up at the center of it, and most importantly, what this story means for your second citizenship ambitions. In March 2023, Caribbean nations collectively barred Russian and Belarusian nationals from their citizenship by investment programs. St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, all at once. For years, these had been popular routes for wealthy Russians to obtain dual nationality. A Caribbean CBI passport meant more travel freedom around the globe, banking relationships in Western financial centres, and a safety net against domestic instability. At that time, costs ranged from $100,000 for a donation-based citizenship. Overnight, those options vanished, but that Russian demand simply found another 12,000 kilometers away. The pathway Russians turned to is something called the Quadrilateral Agreement, a treaty between Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Belarus and Russia, signed after the Soviet Union collapsed in the 1990s. The problem it was designed to solve was straightforward. After the fall of the regime, millions of people suddenly lived in new countries they had never chosen. Families were split across borders, and cultural ties crossed new national lines. Anyone born between 1991 in the former Soviet Union could obtain citizenship in any of the 4 member states without a residency requirement or minimum investment. Immigration experts note that applicants didn't even need to set foot in the other country. All they needed was documentary proof of Soviet birth and basic processing fees. For decades, almost nobody used this, yet the treaty remained in place. In 2021, just 400 Russians naturalized in Kyrgyzstan through this treaty. Then the Caribbean doors slammed shut, and by 2024, that number suddenly ballooned to 7,000. Now, a Kyrgyz passport is not a Caribbean passport. The visa-free travel is considerably more limited. Kyrgyzstan is a developing economy. With Kyrgyz citizenship, you are not getting the global mobility or regional banking access that an Antigua or St. Kitts passport provides. But for Russians who had just lost every traditional citizenship by investment option, it's still a second citizenship, a different passport, and a legal backup plan at a fraction of what they had been paying in the Caribbean. Commercial facilitators spotted this opportunity fast. Radio Free Europe reported widespread advertising campaigns targeting Russian nationals promoting quick Kyrgyz citizenship. The marketing leaned heavily on simplicity. No donation or investment required. No need to visit the country. Processing in just a few months. In 2022 and 2023, applications processed in about 4 months. As volume exploded, that stretched to 9 months by 2024. The Kyrgyz bureaucracy was never built for thousands of applicants per year, of course, especially so rapidly. When the original agreement was drafted, nobody imagined this kind of demand. The aggressive marketing raised red flags with Kyrgyz officials. This was never designed as a citizenship for sale operation. Its purpose was keeping post-Soviet families connected. What it had become in 2024 looked very different than how it was imagined in 1991. In February 2025, Kyrgyzstan suspended citizenship applications from Russian nationals. The government recognized that the Quadrilateral Agreement had drifted far beyond its original intent. A treaty created to prevent statelessness had become a de facto citizenship by heritage program, driven by economic and political motivations. This is a pattern that repeats across investment migration. A legitimate pathway is discovered, demand surges, the system strains under volume it was never designed for, and the government pulls the plug. Portugal's Golden Visa went through a version of this. So did several Caribbean programs during their boom years. One could argue Italy's citizenship by descent program experienced this as well. When geopolitical tensions close established pathways, demand redirects toward programs and treaties that often lack the oversight or processing capacity to handle it. Other countries have similar heritage-based or treaty-based citizenship provisions, and if traditional CBI programs keep facing restrictions, those dormant pathways could see the same kind of pressure. 3 things worth keeping in mind. 1. The window on any given citizenship pathway can open and close faster than you expect. Programs that look stable today can change with one policy decision. If you are planning a citizenship strategy, do not assume today's options will exist next year. 2. Low barriers attract high volume. Programs with minimal requirements get overwhelmed quickly once they gain visibility. Acting early usually yields the best outcomes. 3. Finally, legitimacy is important. Programs that strain under demand and attract abuse concerns tend to get suspended. The strongest citizenship strategies are built on programs with institutional foundations and long-term viability. If you want to stay ahead of challenges like these, subscribe to this channel. We cover every shift in the investment migration world as it happens. If you're interested in stories like today's, watch the video on your screen now about 28 life rules for sovereign individuals. You'll learn how to remain bulletproof in a shifting political and economic world.